Welcome to this audiobook companion to The Success Trap by Dr. Amina Aitsi-Selmi. This audio experience is designed to help you reflect deeply on your relationship with work, success, identity, and fulfillment. As you listen, you will be invited to question long-held assumptions, slow down, and reconnect with what truly matters to you, not just as a professional, but as a human being. If you find these insights valuable, remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you can revisit the key ideas and stay connected to future content. What follows is a reworked, expanded narration-ready version of your text, with a clear, spoken style suitable for an audiobook script. Introduction. You're about to explore why so many high-performing, capable people end up feeling trapped in careers that look successful from the outside, but feel empty on the inside. This audiobook will walk you through how that trap is created, how it is maintained by modern work culture and inner beliefs, and, most importantly, how to break free from it. As you listen, allow yourself to pause, reflect, and apply the concepts to your own life and career. By the end, you will have a practical and emotional roadmap for moving from a success-obsessed, fear-driven way of working into a more authentic, creative, and value-driven way of living and leading. If this resonates with you, please like and subscribe so others can also discover these ideas and benefit from them. Key takeaways. First, do not be afraid to pursue change. Change is often uncomfortable, and stepping into something new can feel risky, especially when you've built your identity and sense of security around your current role or status. Yet meaningful growth rarely happens without stepping outside your comfort zone. The rewards, greater alignment, freedom, and fulfillment usually far outweigh the initial fear and uncertainty. Second, becoming truly aware of your situation and your motivations is essential. Many people drift into roles, habits, and lifestyles without consciously choosing them. When you pause to ask, why am I doing what I'm doing? Whose definition of success am I living? You begin to unhook from the myths that tie your worth to titles, salaries, and constant productivity. This awareness is the doorway to breaking out of work and identity-related illusions. Third, it is possible to improve your cognitive functioning and gain more control over your inner critic. Learning to set boundaries, practicing meditation or mindfulness, and committing to regular rest are not luxuries. They are foundational mental health practices. They help you quiet the harsh internal voice that says you are never enough, and they restore clarity, creativity, and resilience. Finally, you are invited to create deliberate time for yourself and to notice what drains you versus what nourishes you. Pay attention to the activities, environments, and people that leave you feeling exhausted, and contrast them with those that make you feel alive and inspired. Whenever possible, choose to spend more time in what gives you life and less in what chronically depletes your energy. Over time, these choices reshape your career and your sense of self. If you find these takeaways helpful, make sure to like and subscribe so you can return to them whenever you need a reminder. Overview. At the heart of this work is a simple but powerful idea. By becoming self-aware, uncovering your authentic values, and clarifying your purpose, you can free yourself from toxic work patterns and grow into a more grounded, fulfilled person and leader. Success is not just about external achievements. It is about how you feel and who you become along the way. In The Success Trap, Dr. Amina Aitsi-Selmi shows how easy it is to lose control of your life when you chase status, money, or recognition at the expense of your well-being. She also shows you how to take that control back. By tuning into your creative spirit and your real skill set, you can build margin, space, into your life and your workplace. That margin gives you room to think, to feel, to rest, and to choose. It is within that space that you can design your own version of happiness and experience a deeper sense of fulfillment, instead of merely surviving in a demanding work environment. Part 1. Why people stay in jobs they don't like. The challenge of work in the 21st century. The success trap is the powerful myth that you must compromise your values, suppress your integrity, and push aside your well-being to secure fulfillment, safety, and financial gain. Many people internalize this belief early in their careers, often without realizing it. They come to think that discomfort, stress, and misalignment are just the price of being successful. The 21st century has transformed the landscape of work. Economic recessions, rapid technological change, the rise of artificial intelligence, and fluctuating unemployment have reshaped what job security even means. In the past, it was normal to imagine working in one company or even one role for an entire career. Today, that vision has become almost impossible. Yet people still hold on to that old image of stability. When reality doesn't match those expectations, it can lead to frustration and disillusionment. People become fearful of losing what little security they have, even if that security is fragile and unfulfilling. Instead of risking a move toward work they truly want, they cling to what they know. The paradox is that trying to eliminate uncertainty by living in fear never truly works. Uncertainty is a given. The choice is whether to remain paralyzed by it or to move through it toward meaningful change. The makings of a career crisis. Career crises, often described as midlife crises, are surprisingly common. They tend to surface between the mid-30s and mid-50s, but they're not limited to a specific income bracket, marital status, or profession. One of the clearest signs of such a crisis is a deep disconnect between what you want at a core level and what you are actually doing every day. Often there are early warning signs, a nagging sense that something is wrong, repeated physical or emotional exhaustion, ethical discomfort, or a persistent inner voice that says, "This isn't it." When these red flags from your conscience and intuition are ignored, the result can feel like a sudden collapse, burnout. In reality, burnout is rarely sudden. It is the end point of a long period of misalignment. The pace of the modern world contributes heavily to this problem. The current industrial and digital revolutions frequently treat human beings as sources of energy and output, as if they are machines to be optimized rather than people with limits. When you live like a machine, constantly on, the psychological toll is immense. Toxic work environments where overwork, disrespect, or chronic stress are normalized can push people even faster toward crisis. Another source of trouble is the way many people locate their value in external labels, titles, job descriptions, and material symbols of success. When your identity becomes fused with these external markers, a promotion, a job loss, or a reorganization can feel like a direct attack on who you are. Because titles and wealth are inherently unstable, tying your self-worth to them creates ongoing vulnerability. Fear of losing what you have or of never obtaining what you want, locks you into situations that no longer serve you and keeps you from taking meaningful risks. The high achiever paradox, imposter syndrome, and other work identity traps. In today's high-performance culture, many professionals get caught in specific psychological traps that distort how they see themselves and their work. One of these is the high achiever paradox. On the surface, high achievers seem confident and driven. But internally, success can become a compulsion. The belief that unless you are constantly hitting new targets, you are failing. When achievements slow down, these individuals may feel guilt, shame, or anxiety. If their identity is built around being the successful one, any threat to that identity, like a setback, a plateau, or a change in role, can trigger fear and emotional turmoil. Another trap is imposter syndrome. Here, people discount their own efforts and talents, attributing their accomplishments to luck, timing, or other external factors. They live with a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud. Even strong evidence of competence doesn't quiet the inner critic. Instead, each success raises the pressure to maintain an image they feel is not truly theirs. Then there are the rescuer and the people pleaser. In these patterns, self-worth is tied to helping others and earning praise. Service becomes less about genuine care and more about securing approval. The rescuer feels the need to fix everyone's problems. The people pleaser feels compelled to say yes to every request. Both end up overloaded and emotionally drained, often resentful, but unable to step back. When you recognize yourself in any of these roles, awareness is the first step to freedom. You can start to question beliefs like, I must always do more with less, or I am what I produce. These notions might have helped you succeed in the short term, but they become toxic when they define your entire identity. Once you see the trap, you are better equipped to loosen its hold and make healthier choices. Part 2. Breaking free from the success trap. Goal-driven versus creative flow. Goals are useful. They provide direction and structure. But problems arise when being successful becomes an obsession and the primary measure of your worth. In that state, you may spend more time imagining a future success than actually living your present life. You may set more and more goals, yet feel less and less satisfied. Human beings have several core needs: safety, challenge, significance, connection, growth, and contribution. The first four help you function and survive in your job. You need to feel safe enough to act, challenged enough to stay engaged, recognized enough to feel seen, and connected enough not to feel alone. But the last two, growth and contribution, are what bring true fulfillment. If you focus solely on safety and status while neglecting growth and contribution, you will eventually feel empty, regardless of how impressive your resume looks. Breaking out of compulsive goal chasing requires shifting into creative flow, a state where you work not just for an outcome, but because the work itself feels meaningful and alive. In creative flow, you are in the zone. Time passes differently. Your ideas come more naturally, and you are less preoccupied with how you look or how you will be judged. Creativity in this sense is not limited to artists. It applies to any form of problem-solving, innovation, or thoughtful leadership. Many people, however, become so attached to their labels, doctor, manager, engineer, expert, that their sense of self hardens. When your identity is rigid, creativity struggles to breathe. Letting go of self-imposed labels can feel threatening, but it is a vital part of growth. The creative process itself typically unfolds in 6 stages: relax, reflect, release, reconnect, respond, and receive. You relax to disengage from constant doing. You reflect to understand what is truly happening. You release old assumptions and expectations. You reconnect with your values, your curiosity, and your inner voice. You respond by taking aligned action, and you receive new insight, opportunities, and energy. This cycle repeats, allowing you to evolve in a more organic and fulfilling way. Slow down to speed up. The first step into a healthier creative state is surprisingly simple: relax. In many modern cultures, relaxation is misunderstood. People feel guilty when they rest, as though they're wasting time or letting someone down. However, rest is not optional if you want clarity, performance, and emotional balance. It is the foundation on which sustainable productivity is built. Effective time management helps you create this foundation. You can use several principles. Pause before reacting, so you respond intentionally rather than impulsively. Batch similar tasks to reduce mental switching costs. Prioritize what truly matters instead of trying to do everything. Commit to a realistic set of tasks rather than overloading yourself. Automate and delegate where possible so your energy goes to high-value work. Focus deeply on one thing at a time instead of spreading your attention thin. Drop it when a task or obligation no longer serves your goals or values. Meditation and mindfulness practices support this way of living. By bringing your attention back to the present moment, you calm your nervous system and give your mind a chance to reset. Over time, this can reduce anxiety, enhance concentration, and create a more spacious inner world. Equally important are boundaries. Learning to say no when necessary is an act of self-respect. Clear limits not only protect your time and energy, they also quiet the inner critic who constantly says you should be doing more. As you practice rest, boundaries, and mindfulness, you often discover that you can achieve more of what truly matters by doing less of what doesn't. Unlearn your limiting beliefs. To grow into a more authentic version of yourself, it is not enough to add new skills or knowledge. You must also unlearn old habits, beliefs, and identities that no longer fit. This can be challenging because some of these beliefs once kept you safe or helped you succeed. Admitting, "I was wrong," or "this no longer serves me," can feel like a loss. But in reality, it is an opening. A common limiting pattern is blending your identity with your successes and failures. When you win, you feel worthy. When you lose, you feel worthless. This roller coaster is exhausting. By choosing to separate your inherent worth from your outcomes, you can experience a deeper peace in both your work and personal life. You can still aim high and work hard, but your entire sense of self no longer hangs on each result. Developing this healthier perspective requires awareness of your thoughts, feelings, values, and recurring stories about yourself and the world. To cultivate such awareness, you must slow down enough to listen. Until you allow yourself to rest, you will struggle to notice the beliefs that drive you. Once you can observe your inner dialogue without immediately reacting to it, you create space to change it. Over time, this awareness frees your identity from distorted expectations, both your own and those imposed by society. You become better able to say, "This is who I am," rather than "this is what I do," as your primary definition. Part 3. Thriving outside the trap. Practical freedom. Tools to reconnect, respond, and receive. Thriving beyond the success trap begins with self-awareness and continues with intentional action. A key element of that awareness is understanding your personal mission statement, your purpose, and your values. Too often, people adopt values they think they should have rather than the ones that genuinely resonate with who they are. For example, someone may claim to value status because they believe it is expected, when in truth they value creativity or service. Take time to ask yourself, what do I truly value? Why do these things matter to me? How do I want to show up each day? You do not need to have your entire life purpose mapped out. It is enough to focus on your purpose for today, how you can live in alignment, even in small ways. Over time, those daily choices build a meaningful life.